Hi, this is Theo from PocketBlocks.com. Today I'm going to review this Dell S2817Q monitor. This is a review unit that Dell has sent to me to review for 2 weeks, and after using it I feel that I can give you my opinion now. Now the main specifications that you should note about this monitor is this is a 4K monitor that runs at 3840 by 2160 resolution at 60 Hz, so that's like 60 frames per second. So the resolution of this monitor is very good, very high. And the other thing to note is this is a TN panel, so the usual downsides of TN panel are like limited viewing angles, the color reproduction is not as good as IPS monitor. Later I will show it to you, but let's talk about the physical appearance of this monitor first. This is a 28-inch monitor, so this is quite large. And let me show you the side of the monitor first. This is the profile, the side profile. So it's pretty slim. You can see this little curve here. And on the back, it's actually very glossy. I'm not sure if you can see some of my fingerprints here, but because it's glossy, it tends to attract some fingerprints. And this is a L-shaped stand. So with this L-shaped stand, you cannot really adjust the monitor very much. You can only maybe tilt the monitor like this. And usually when you are tilting it like this, you should use both hands, because if not, you can see the bottom of the stand lifting up. So you cannot tilt this left and right or adjust the height of this monitor. So that is a limitation for me, because I like to adjust the height especially. The bezel is quite small, although not as small compared to the Infinity Edge bezels from Dell's other monitor. And let me show you the ports that are behind. To remove the stand, you have to press into a small hole between the stand and the monitor. You have to push it down before you can release that lock. So after that, you can just slide off the stand. On this side, we have the power. There are 3 USB 3 ports, 2 downstream and 1 upstream. This little thing here is the audio line out. So for the USB 3 ports, usually I just use my plug in my USB 3 receiver for the Logitech mouse, put it here, and this will connect to the computer. There are 2 HDMI ports. These are actually HDMI 2.0, and this is a full-size display port, and this is a mini display port. All these ports, they are able to support 4K up to 60 Hz. Note that there is no DVI port, and Dell has also supplied the HDMI cables and display cables with this monitor, so you don't have to buy them separately. And this is the little hole that I was talking about just now, where you have to use a screwdriver to press it down before you can release the stand. Before you fix on the stand, make sure you look out for the 2 metal slots that are inside. I'm not sure if you can see it. There's one on the left and one on the right side. Make sure that the stand goes between these 2 slots. And once the stand is in, push it all the way in until you hear a click sound, so that means the stand has locked into place. When you are setting up the monitor, be careful not to scratch the bezel. I think they are quite easy to scratch. There are actually some slight scratches here. I'm not sure if they came with the monitor or if I accidentally scratched them, but just note that they can be scratched, so be careful when you are fixing up the monitor. The other thing to note is, as I'm looking at the monitor right now, I can see the anti-glare filter that Dell has applied on the screen. Usually I don't notice that when I'm working, but right now as I'm looking at it, it seems that it's a bit strong. You can see that anti-glare, so that is the thing that gives this monitor, the screen, the matte surface. The menu buttons and power button are at the bottom right. They are physical buttons, a bit difficult to press, but once you set the settings, there is probably no need to go back to pressing them anymore, so it's not really too big of an issue. These grills here, these are actually speakers behind. There is a speaker on the left and right side. So these are the menu functions. You can change the brightness, contrast, the colors, and your ports. You can also do picture-in-picture. By the way, you can control the volume settings here as well. Just click on it and you can adjust the volume. The audio quality for the speakers, it's generally quite good, but since they are pointing downwards, you do not get the clarity as compared to speakers that are pointing forward. On rare occasions, I would sometimes experience static from the speakers. By the way, the audio signal comes from the display cables, either the HDMI cable or the DisplayPort cable. So I'm not sure whether or not it's the problem with the speakers or with the cables. I tried swapping the cables, but sometimes I do hear that static. Yeah. The other thing to note about the speakers is on Mac OS there is no way for you to adjust the volume through the menu shortcut at the top right or from the keyboard shortcuts. So if you press the volume buttons on the keyboard, there is this little signal there that says, oh, you can't adjust the volume. So it's very inconvenient to adjust the volume if you have to go to the menu here. So this is quite inconvenient. That is why I have to use a Bluetooth speaker for this monitor. But if you are using this on Windows, you can adjust the volumes with the keyboard shortcuts or through the settings, no problem at all. Let's talk about the image quality now. This is a TM panel, so it has limited viewing angles and the color reproduction is not as good compared to IPS panel. However, on Dell's website, they say that this panel actually supports close to 99% sRGB. But because of the nature of TM panels, you are probably not going to see all those colors because of the viewing angle. Let me show that to you right now. I'm going to open Photoshop and show you a white space file. Yeah, so this is what I see right now. The colors in the middle, they are very accurate, they are white color, but as you move to the edges of the monitor, the color starts to transition into some other colors. So you can see this part here is a bit more yellowish. I actually have calibrated this monitor with the Color Monkey display device. So this is color corrected, and even so right now I can see some of the transition happening. Let me tilt the monitor to a different angle and you can see that more clearly. So together with the anti-glare and the TM panels, limited viewing angle, some of the colors, the transition in the colors can be a bit significant. So this monitor is definitely not suitable for graphic design, photo or video editing. This is the other angle. Let me fill this with black and see what happens. The black actually looks alright, just that for lighter colors you can see the color transition much clearer. However, this is a TM panel, so if you are looking at this monitor, if you are watching a movie at night, you're going to see some glow coming out as well. Not the typical IPS glow, but you will still see some glow. As for backlight bleeding, I'll show it to you. This is very close to what I see at night. There is some slight glow, and for this particular monitor that I'm reviewing, there is a slight yellow patch on the left side and a darker patch on the right side. In real life, unless you are showing black background, you probably won't see this at all. Let's talk a bit more about the 4K resolution. I use my monitor mainly for work purposes like video editing, photo editing, and blogging. So I edit a lot of graphics, I do a lot of typing and things like that. So this is the first time I'm using a 4K monitor, and this is a 28-inch monitor with 4K resolution. After using it for 2 weeks, I'm still not able to get used to the high resolution on this particular size, because let me show it to you. This is my web page. This is the normal size that I would see if this were to be a 144p monitor. Now on the 4K monitor, the actual size of this web page actually looks like this. So this is really very small, and I think like 90% of the time when I go to web pages, I would have to Control+ to increase the page size. So I have to do that for almost all the pages because the font sizes are a bit small. This is the actual size, 100% of the page. This is scaled up as what I would see on my 144p monitor. This is 4K monitor. When it comes to typing, it really becomes a problem because the font sizes are very small. So this is actual 4K resolution. You can see how small that font is. When it comes to typing, when it comes to selecting text, especially when it comes to selecting text, it's very challenging because you have to make sure that you insert the cursor at the correct spot. And it's not easy to see because it's so small, so sometimes there are mistakes. So for web applications like this, it is still not too much of a problem because you can Control+ to increase the user interface and the fonts. But if you are using software like Microsoft Word, for example, I'm not sure if there is a setting for you to increase the user interface, to increase the buttons. When it comes to using software like Photoshop, for example, I think the buttons, while they may be small, they are still usable. Definitely much better compared to 4K on a 15-inch laptop. So this is still quite usable. But if I were to get a 4K monitor for my own, I will definitely get one that is at least 30 inches or larger. For sizes like 28-inch, 27-inch monitors, I think it's probably better to go with 144p. So what is this monitor good for? If you watch a lot of video, if you do gaming, I think this monitor is actually quite good. This is a video that I shot in 4K and the clarity is insane. Okay, let me try and mute the volume. Let me pause this first to turn down the volume. So as I mentioned earlier on, there is no way to turn down the volume using the keyboard shortcuts here and the menu shortcuts here. So you have to actually turn down the volume from the software. So that's quite a hassle because most of the time I use the keyboard shortcuts to turn down the volume. Anyway, let me play this video at full resolution. So the clarity of this video is of this monitor is really fantastic. You can see all sorts of detail at this high resolution. You can see all the little textures, all the details, especially when I'm using a very close-up macro lens. I can see all the textures on this pencil, even the grain on the pencils here. So this is 4K resolution for you. Now when it comes to gaming, it's pretty awesome as well. Let me open up Portal 2. I only have Portal 2 and Tomb Raider on my Mac. I'm running this game through Steam. Alright, here's another problem. I cannot adjust the volume because there's no way for me to adjust the volume right now through this game. Gaming on this monitor is quite awesome because of the size and also the resolution, because if you can run the games at 4K, it is really fantastic, but this is going to be very taxing for your graphics card. So if you're buying this for gaming, make sure that your computer is powerful enough for gaming. Portal 2 is not very taxing, but if I run Tomb Raider, I can hear the fan blowing hot air out from the computer. And the frame rate, this is running at 4K. This is 60 frames per second. I think there is, or at least I feel that there is no lag whatsoever, no screen tearing. I can move around the screens very easily. This is pretty awesome. But if you want to have far higher frame rates, I read on some websites that you can actually run the games at low resolutions like 1080p or 1440p and get a frame rate up to 144 Hertz. So you might want to try that. It's not listed on Dell's website though, because I'm not sure why it's not listed on Dell's website. When it comes to console gaming, this monitor definitely has no problem supporting those games. Games like Xbox or PlayStation games usually run at 1080p at around 60 frames per second. So this is now 4K at 60 frames per second. So this definitely has no problem supporting those games. Just that when you want to run PC games at 4K, there's no way for you to go above 60 frames per second. By the way, I'm not actually playing Uncharted 4 right now. No controller in my hand. I'm just using this video as a reference. The other thing to talk about is the color reproduction that I mentioned earlier for TN panels. This is not going to be a problem with games because games there are no flat areas of color, so you will not be able to see those weird color transitions towards the edge of the screen. And also limited viewing angles, not a problem as well, because when you are playing game you are usually just looking at the screen from one direction, so not a problem for that. This monitor is more suitable for casual home users and gamers. For those who are going to do a lot of office work, I'm not sure if I would recommend this, because if you run 4K resolution on a 28-inch screen like this, the text is quite small and it can be quite strenuous to your eyes if you have to screen in your eyes at all those numbers and text. And for people who are into creative services like photography, videography, definitely get an IPS panel, because just now I was showing you, even when I'm looking at a screen straight on, and when I see flat colors, I can see color transitions. So that is not the type of screen you want to get for creative work like graphic design or video editing. So yeah. After using this monitor for 2 weeks, there's a few things I realized. I will not be getting a 4K monitor unless the screen size is 30-inch and above, because I do write a lot. I need the text to be big, and I do not want to zoom in to every web page that I see. That's not very convenient. The other thing is I will not be getting a TN panel because I really value color reproduction and the viewing angles. That's something that I realized after using this monitor for 2 weeks. But overall, I'll say good monitor. The downside, the volume controls for the Mac. Sometimes there are some static as well coming from the monitor audio system. Yeah, so those would be the cons. For the pros, definitely the 4K resolution, the sharpness and the clarity. That's all for today's review. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comment section. I will also post a link to my text review in case I need to update anything, so you can just check out the text review. That's all. See you in the next video, and if you do find my review helpful, give a thumbs up or a thumbs down, or if you have anything to share, post them, share with me. Thanks. See you. Bye.